It is most people's dreams to be able to earn money in Fortnite, and the Solo Victory Cup is currently the easiest tournament to achieve that goal. So in this video I will be showing you how you can make a game plan in order to make your first earnings. Subscribe if you want to earn and join my Discord server if you have any questions. Now let's go on to part 1, Offspawn. Offspawn is the first part of the match and determines whether you get to play out a game or get sent back to the lobby. So it's very important that you make it count and give yourself a chance to play an extra endgame. Firstly, you need to find a place to land. I usually head over to Fortnite.gg and turn on chest spawns, floor loot spawns, and finally ammo boxes. I will then search the map for an area of a good amount of loot and at least one place to swerve to if I'm heavily con. After this, I like to test the spot out in ranked for a few games and try and get used to the chest spawns and see which buildings give the most mats. After this, if I don't like the spot, I'll repeat the process of another one. Once you are sure with your spot, you need to make, find or buy these two things: a drop map and a loot path. A drop map is a set of markers that shows you where to pull your glider in order to get a perfect drop every time. You can find these in my Discord server or can purchase them from basically any coach. A loot path you can make yourself, and it's basically a path you follow every game to maximize loot gain and optimally loot your spot without doubling back on yourself. Now you're all set for Offspawn, so keep practicing your spot and you'll be prepared for the cash cup. How you play the mid game is what separates you from a player that will come top 30 to a player that consistently makes top 3s. In the mid game you have to focus on 5 main things: mats, awareness, loot, objectives and positioning. All mats you should focus on capping your materials safely at every chance that you get. The aim of this is to be going into the endgame with full materials so that you have more time to look for a refresh later in the game. Based on your drop, you can look for spots nearby that you can instantly rotate to refarm your metal. Onto awareness, you need to be constantly scouting around you and blocking off angles in wood while rotating through a congested area. This helps you as lots of players lose shield in the mid game because they are not scouting before rotating and are scared to block off angles because it wastes mats. Finally, if you're sitting in a bush or a house, always look and listen for players instead of just sitting there. In mid game you should finalize your loadout and rotate depending on what you need. In finals you should be holding a gatekeeper, at least 3 medkits, a fizz, a nitro and another healing item. So if you don't have enough heals or nitro, you should rotate to another split or POI to try and look for some unlooted parts that you can use. The mid game has 3 objectives: the forecast tower, the bunker and the loot island. I recommend going for the forecast tower if it's near your drop, as it highly increases your chances of earning. This is because it lets you pre-plan your rotates one zone before everyone else. But if you're not a confident fighter, I don't recommend fighting for it. Next is the bunker. I would only go for it if it's nearby and I'm not in a really congested area. This is because bunker fights are sketchy and can drag out for long, leading you to take storm damage. Finally is the loot island. The loot island gives loot, and the rocks and trees around it give a lot of mats, so I only go for this if it's free or I am in desperate need of loot. Finally, the last focus is positioning. You should be rotating to areas that you have awareness over other players and quickly rotate to the next zone. Examples of this is hills, a rift, dead side or center zone. This is crucial as it determines how you will start the endgame, so always try and focus on positioning over everything else. The hardest part of earning in Fortnite is the endgame. At the endgame you need to try and save all of your medkits for the heal off. This means that your rotates have to be smart and decisive so that you don't end up getting yourself lower than 100 HP and having to use whites. You should always be sticking towards one side of the zone to conserve materials and using a combination of the fizz and the nitro to get yourself on an elevated layer. One tip that I can give you to save mats is to sit in a cone on some rotates instead of boxing up, as it drastically reduces the amounts of mats needed. Also, you need to be constantly looking for refreshes so that you don't have to force one later in the game. Finally, you need to learn about win conditions. A win condition is something that you play for that you need to win the game. This could be going for height or getting a refresh. Win conditions this season include height, more than 700 mats for final moving, or having 6 medkits. If you're able to achieve one of these, you'll have a much higher chance of winning the game. Good luck in the solo cash cup and subscribe for more improvement videos. Bye.